Hello, my true crime lovelies. You say hello to the lovelies? No? Okay. We're going to make this quick. There's another filing. It's a supplemental to Brian's. When he told the judge Sarah owes him some money, he did a supplemental child support worksheet, and it filed on Friday, but it didn't pop up until today because I did check over the weekend. As you know, that's how I made the video. But first, let's thank the members and everybody else who's here for watching. I'm going to run the intro if I can find it. Yeah, here we go.
That's a baby dust.
Yeah. No, this isn't the Baby Dust channel. I'll see you on the other side. Yes, you saw Liberty and Justice? Justice. Okay, so let's get into this. This is the notice of the filing of the child support. That's right. Guidelines worksheet. So it went to Sarah. It's just certifying that he sent it. This is a standard. So it's the combined for the two of them child support guidelines. There was a little bit of emotion, right? In my last video when I said Brian may be underreporting his $60,000 a year because cost of living increase, merit increase. Now, I didn't say I get a cost of living increase. I don't know how I got involved in it. I specifically said I got a merit increase. But there are two forms. Cost of living increase can happen, like, for example, if you're on minimum wage, right? So minimum wage changes. It's not an annual increase, but for example, when I started working, minimum wage was $3.35 in Fresno, California. I'm sure it's more than that now, based on cost of living. Okay, you have to shush or you can't be in the video. Okay, you have to let mommy talk, yeah? Okay, thank you. So, actually, before I get into the worksheet, let's get into that. So, our friends in Massachusetts at a little university you may have heard of, MIT, Massachusetts Institution, or, oh my God, what the I stands for, something, Institute of Technology. They put out a living wage report every year. I'm going to show you this one for New York County, which is Manhattan. Kings County is Brooklyn. Queens County is Queens, right? So here it has what the living wage is if one adult, one child, $55.38. If you make $10, you're at poverty wage. If you make $15, you're at minimum wage here in Manhattan. So the minimum amount for a living wage, again, sticking with the one adult, one child, which happens to be me. It also happens to be Brian. You need to make at least $115,000 before taxes to be earning a living wage. Here's like the typical annual salary. If you're in management, it's $179,000. If you're computer and mathematical, it's $124,000 annual, right? So that's where my experience was coming from. And obviously there's a range of it. So then let's look at Florida. Right, I'm going to go to the top so you can see. Living wage calculation for Florida. Apparently there's one for the entire state of Florida, New York. It's going by county. It also does that in California. Like if you live in LA, it's a different minimum wage and living wage than if you live in San Francisco. San Francisco has 4 of the most expensive county in the United States. So for Florida, one adult, one child, $13 is the minimum wage. So we remember from that worksheet that Brian and his attorney imputed minimum wage to Sarah, right? Because she has unclean hands. The reason why she is not making any money is because she murdered her boyfriend and was convicted to life in prison. So one adult, one child, a living wage is $80,000. Okay, here we go. Let me go back up. $13. So one adult, one child, $80,000 before taxes. So those are the receipts on when I say that Brian is lowballing it. which is not the end of the world because that's what he had when they filed for divorce in 2018. But it also is going to then make what Sarah owes him a little bit more than if he put a living wage there. It's moot because he doesn't have a job and he hasn't had a job 2021, which is the last time he filed taxes. But that was my only comment. I don't know why it sparked so many emotions, but like if we take the emotions out and just look at the facts. So here, now we've established 80,000 as the living wage for one adult, one child. But if your occupational area is computer and mathematical, $100,000 is your average, if you will, typical annual salary. And the reason that is important is because if he put in either 80,000 or 100,000, it reduces Sarah's liability, right, in their scenario. So that was the only point that I was making. Do I think that he should have to pay anything to her or that she should not be held responsible? No, that is not what I was saying. I just was speaking facts because y'all know I like them. Let's get back to looking at this worksheet. You okay? Bum, 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 bum. You all right, buddy? No? Maybe?
Baby.
Yes, I said maybe, but you are my baby. So here, if we go to this worksheet, again, we're using Brian's 60,000. So that goes to $5,000 a month, right? We all agree 5,000 times 12 is 60,000. Sarah's is 2,252 based on that $13 an hour minimum wage. It's about 27,000. Whoa. Annually. And so combined, their Social Security taxable income is $7,252, right? So then we go through FICA, SS, FICA, Medicare. I think I've shared this when I got my first check, my first W-2 check, and I saw like all these deductions. I was like, who is FICA? Why do they take my money? And then we have federal income tax. So $180 is imputed to Brian, $38 is imputed to Sarah. When you add all of these expenses here, you get this number here, $774 combined. Brian's deductions are basically $583 and Sarah's deductions are $211. So then we come over here, we look at the overnight percentage. The combined total is going to be 100%, right? Well, funny enough, Lowell Annex doesn't allow overnight visits of children, of minor children with their parents. So Sarah's overnight percentage will be 0. The minimum child support need for one child is $1,165 a month. That's the total minimum support needed. So if we break it down, 100% of the support, Brian is responsible for $68.49. Sarah's responsible for $31.51. Why? That was what was in their original agreement, which is why he ended up paying her $100 in child support, even though they had 50-50, because this is how the split was. Even though they had 50-50 timeshare, overnight percentage, allegedly on paper when she wasn't drunk. And so, yeah. So the guidelines share 68.49% of $1,165 is $758. And for Sarah, $367. The 5% range would be $40 for Brian, $18 for Sarah. Low guideline, $349 for Sarah, high for Sarah's $385. The number is here for Brian, but because he has 100%, he's not responsible for paying anything. Can you say I'm being careful? Okay, so the customary is what they're using, and they put it here. If we went back to the instructions for the guidelines, customary, we would get these numbers, right? There's no deviation factors. So adjusted guideline is the same as customary guideline. I think deviation would be maybe she takes him for the summer or some other split in there, right? So available income between the two of them is $647 for their net available $6,478, which is what we got over here from the net monthly income. And then adjusted affidavit needs. So it's actually a little bit more, because I would think the needs would be minimum child support need, 1165. Oh, but they're adding now the 1165 plus Sarah's 367. So we're getting to 1,560 for the adjusted needs, and Sarah needs nothing. And then, so we just carry that down. Adjusted affidavit needs 1405. I don't know what we've taken away to get to the adjusted. Available income analysis without children. So hers is 0, his is 1405. But he has a child, so it's kind of moot. So let's go back and look at his. There's the 22561 from her making $13 an hour at minimum wage, or it being imputed to her as if she made it. 38,000. We did go through that the lawyer was conservative on this side because he could have gone through the son's graduation of 2029, since he turns 18 in his senior year on October 28th. So conservative there, a little less conservative on what Brian's annual income is imputed. And then one of you guys said something about the guardian ad litem, so I want to go here. So this is the sort of pro forma language, GAL report, and any agreement about whether the court may consider the GAL report and any stipulations to hearsay in the report. The lawyer put not applicable, but somewhere you guys said I missed it and there was a GAL report. So I don't know. Can you guys see? Oh no, because my head is over there. I'm going to scroll it. Let me just move myself to the bottom so you can see the page numbers. In this corner. So this is on page 4 of 8. This is the only place where I'm seeing the GAL. I wonder if I can do a Control F here. Yeah, no. Unfortunately, it doesn't let me see that. But if you see it on another page, let me know which page and then we can talk about it. But there's also like an NA for the special needs, not applicable is how I'm interpreting it. But one of you guys said you saw something. I'm not seeing it, guys. But that's how he has calculated it. He's turned in his worksheet. So yeah, Sarah is going to retroactively owe, what was it? What did we say? 38,000? Yeah, 38,168. So if the judge comes back and says you owe her 22,000 in back alimony, we apply this offset and it would cancel out to 0 because he's not asking for money in his hand. He's asking for an offset. Think of it on your taxes. You know how some things you get a refund on and some things you get a credit on. And even if the credit ends up with a positive, you don't get that refund in your hand. So it's going to be a difference of about, what is that? 10,000, 12, 22, maybe 16,000. He wouldn't get it in his hand. So hopefully that makes sense. You guys can, if you want to check out the living wage, it's at livingwage.mit.edu. And you'll see there that it feels like an underreporting even for Florida, because, I'm not above criticism. I mean, I'm not on here to be perfect. We're on here to get information together and crowdsource it. And so I was like, maybe I'm just thinking of New York wages and that's why it seems low. But here it is on the living wage site from MIT. Even in Florida, 60,000 is low for being in the computer industry, right? And so he's a developer. He might be like a QA developer, so he doesn't actually code, but he fixes code going through QA testing. Either way, it's pretty low. So, he's not working anyway. He's living off of his trust. Oh, and some of you said maybe he doesn't own his house. Maybe it's his parents' house. Like, he definitely lives in that house, and it's a different address than what his parents live in. It doesn't mean it's not his parents' house, but it also could be held in trust. I'm not curious enough to, go look it up. But my point was he doesn't have a liability on the home. He's not paying a mortgage. So he's got, more cash flow as a result of, relative to someone who would have a mortgage, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's what's going on. Sarah still has not filed anything yet as of Monday, May 12th. Certificate of compliance is not in. Her mandatory disclosures are still not in. Her flying monkeys are around, though. There's a lot of messages from Nicole. So hopefully, while she's spewing hate toward Lana for no reason, she's also telling the Wicked Witch, girl, you in danger. You better get it all the way together. So, Yeah, she still has time. She still has until the 22nd to get in her joint pretrial statement, but I bet you she hasn't worked on it at all. Also on the docket today, if you're looking, there was an order for Sarah to appear via telephone and or Zoom that went to there. I don't need to show it to you guys. I'm just going to tell you. It's pretty straightforward. So we'll see. The hearing is on May 29th at 10:45 a.m. From there, if everything is in order, fingers crossed, they will get a trial date from there. I have a feeling, just based on Sarah not getting her act right fully installed and, filing any appropriate documents with the report. We know she filed something, but nobody really cares. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but it's moving along. The next thing, I'm trying to think what else. So if Brian has any motions, he has until the 22nd. Hopefully they'll restrict like what can come in. Like she won't bring up all of her, although she withdrew that, like her heirlooms. You guys are funny. So I guess she's talking about heirloom tomatoes because everyone was like, there was no heirlooms in that apartment. Everything there looked like it came from some sort of donation. So maybe there will be a ring clue phone for Sarah. Well, I didn't even show you guys that. Sorry. Give me 2 shakes. You would think I've made a video or 2 before. There we go. Oh gosh, that's too big. Okay. Here we go. She's not submitted her updated mandatory disclosures. So those were due last week on the 5th. She's not submitted her certificate of compliance. I was also due on the 5th. She needs to submit her new financial affidavit that she has time on. So hopefully the Flying Monkeys are helping her prioritize, start with the overdue, then work on the other ones so those are not late. If she has any motions, I think the good part about it is since Brian already submitted his pre-trial statement, she can just copy and paste like the pro forma part and then put her answers in. Do you know what I mean? Like the one with the gal, it's going to be the same answer. If there was no gal that met with the son, then it's one of you guys said you're in the UK, and after 13, the judge lets the child decide, which I think is beautiful because it gives the child agency. Like no child should feel obligated, forced to talk to their parent just because they share the same DNA. Like if it's a toxic relationship, it's a toxic relationship. And judging on the text messages that she was sending her son, it's a toxic relationship. Like, set him free. Free, set him free, set him free, free, set him free. The son and the ex-husband deserve to be free. So what do you guys think? Emotions in check now, where when I'm saying 60,000 is a low ball? Or, maybe not. You're entitled to your feelings. We don't all have to agree, but we can discuss it respectfully. Cite our sources. I appreciate all of you guys. Thanks for hanging out. I will talk to you later. See you in the comments. Toodles. You okay, Liberty?